Well, good morning. Hello, cool cats and kittens.
When you put that in that email, I thought she's bound to have something really special on, like, I don't know, some sort of leopard print. So I've just been into the granddaughter's nursery and I couldn't find anything other than that. Or it's the nearest thing I could find to a cat. But I thought, no, we're not doing a Last Crips and Clark on a Friday. This is serious stuff.
This is the serious stuff, yes. And if you don't know what we're talking about, then this is me channeling my Carol Baskin. And therefore, if you don't, you're probably an essential worker and not having to live off Netflix at the moment. Yeah. But if you haven't seen it, then Tiger King, yes, the story continues. So I would carry on and watch some more. Good morning, everyone. Lovely to see loads of people in the gym already this morning. So we're going to be talking gatekeepers, one of mine and Alan's favourite topics. So Alan, what's the first thing you want people to know about when dealing with gatekeepers?
Well, actually, before we even get on to that, this is a question. Angela doesn't know about this question, so I'm going to throw her on it now. Okay. So Angela, who is the richest and probably most famous gatekeeper on the planet?
Prince Philip?
Oh, so close. No, Prince Albert.
Oh, okay.
And the reason I'm mentioning this right now, talk about hot off the TV. Last night there was a program on about Monaco. Yeah. And Prince Albert and the family and everything else. And he basically signs off. Anybody that wants to become a resident in Monaco, I mean, you've got to make sure that you're liquid, and you've got to be able to say at any one point in time you can get your hands on €500,000 cash.
Wow.
But there's other criteria that he has a look at to allow people in. But he individually signs everybody off.
No, I never knew that.
So he is a gatekeeper. So you know, if
I wasn't far off then, was I?
That's it. Yeah, I know. You got the
when you said Prince Albert, I was thinking of Prince Albert to Queen Victoria. And I was thinking,
no, the chap down in Monaco. I mean, if anyone didn't watch it last night, I mean, some of the people that work in the hotels, right, you know, they're effectively gatekeepers as well, but they really keep the confidentiality aspect. I mean, they are sworn to secrecy. They're probably, I mean, they would lose their jobs, because when they were asking, oh, who stayed in this room? Absolutely not. They wouldn't say anything. And of course, you know, they won't allow paparazzi in there normally. So it's a very well protected area. And let's face it, so too are our gatekeepers' bosses. You know, when you think about who gatekeepers are, they're us.
It's everyone. It's everyone, isn't it? We're all gatekeepers. I think this is the thing. We see them as this negative thing. They get given this name, I suppose, a bit like recruiters as well. They get labelled. Yeah. But actually, every single person, not even if you're working, think about it. When someone rings up home and they're like, who is it?
Yeah.
It's good. I mean, the old days, yes, when you had the house phone and everyone rushed to answer it to get there first.
The house phone.
Now, if someone's phone's ringing and they're not about, then you're probably you might pick it up anyway. Yeah. If it's an unknown number and go, yeah, who is it? It's still gatekeeping in that sense.
I'm sure it's Peter Kay, isn't it? That when he does the old house phone sketch, he says, hello, this is Birmingham 3902. And you actually used to say the actual number. I thought, why are you telling them the number? They've just bloody dialed it anyway.
You're right, actually.
Gatekeepers, we're all we've probably all answered a colleague's phone when they're not there. And we've said, oh, so who are you? Yes. And sorry, will Angela know what the call is about? Oh, no, she's in a meeting right now. We've all done it. And, you know, gatekeepers are there, and their bosses probably give them targets as well and say, look, I'll speak to these people, but anybody else, forget it, you know, get rid of them. And gatekeepers aren't just there on our BD calls. They can be there on our headhunt calls as well. They are there to protect anybody, maybe more senior within the organization, to protect their time. So I think, first of all, we need to do is respect that they are doing a wonderful job for their bosses. And, you know, sometimes, well, put it this way, 20 odd years ago, we used to use some rather sneaky techniques to get around gatekeepers. But they've become a lot less now and less popular, because people's names and numbers can be found now through a number of different online platforms and searches and databases. But personally, I used to use something called name gathering and ruses to try and get past gatekeepers. I've been a student, I've been a lecturer, I've been a PABX cable specialist, I've organised business solutions meetings in Spain, a party organiser, a postal worker. And when I look back on this, I think, oh my God, I feel so sorry for those gatekeepers that were expecting a parcel delivery, or their boss was expecting an invite to a big solutions seminar in Madrid. But we don't use those techniques right now. And I think if you do use dodgy techniques, because some of them were a bit dodgy, at some point you've still got to talk to that gatekeeper. Can you build a relationship with a gatekeeper?
Well, that's the thing. We didn't used to use dodgy techniques, but then again, yeah, they were, because every now and again you'd get trained to say, well, call up and say it's a personal call, and then when you got through, you'd say, oh no, it was personnel, but personnel obviously hasn't worked for 20 odd years since then. So the key for me as the gatekeeper that I learned very early on was treat them as an individual. They're just a person doing their job. So if they say, I can't put you through, then respect that. You're not going to necessarily get through that time. But remember, business development is the long game. It's not about getting through on the first occasion and picking up a job and being able to fill it. That's not realistic. So you've got to treat the gatekeeper exactly the same. You've got to actually, for me, it was about befriending them and talking to them and finding out who they were and their situation. You don't know whether it's their power that they're taking hold of and going, I've got the power and I'm really happy with this, and no, I'm not letting you through. Or like you said earlier, it's someone telling them and it's company policy, and actually they may feel quite uncomfortable having to say no to people, because think about it, have you ever then been maybe a little bit off with the gatekeeper, or your tone is a bit brusque or potentially even downright rude, and that way, think of that person, they're just doing their job, and you've now reacted that way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, with the people that are watching this right now, I don't know how much exposure you've had to different trainers and different training methods, but there are schools of thought out there that will absolutely say, be brusque with them, sort of be quite stern and aggressive with them to get through. Personally, that doesn't fit well with me, and I've always gone down the route of persevering, sometimes use a little bit of humor to get through, but I'll talk about that at 1 o'clock. But I think we have to understand that we're often told as recruiters, yeah, but you might be the 20th caller, the 20th recruiter that's called them that day. No, that's the 20th recruiter, but they are fielding every single other type of sales call. Anybody that wants to get through to that decision maker, to sell them photocopiers, to sell them online training, to sell them, something for their security. So they are fielding so many calls pretty much every minute of the day, if it's quite a sort of a high up decision maker or somebody that people want to talk to. So of course they will have pre-prepared responses. And of course, sometimes they might be a little bit short with us. Why? Because they've only just put the phone down to 20 other salespeople that are saying the same things. So they will have standard responses. So that's why we need to be prepared to be able to deal with those. But I think, as Angela mentioned, respect that initially, and I think if we understand what they're likely to say, we could almost use that as a preemptive strike anyway. So I think
they're going to say those things that we put on the email this morning. It's like, well, who's calling? What's it about? They're in a meeting. I can't put you through right now. Sorry, we don't give out first names or numbers policy. All of those things, they're coming. So you can be prepared. I love Tracy's comment, actually. If you build a relationship with a gatekeeper, it can be one of the best relationships you ever make. You're right, because if you're the one that finally gets through, they're not letting all the others through. So it is about getting past the competition as well as the gatekeeper, and that's what's going to make the difference there. So make sure you do it, but also you don't always know who it is. We're talking about the gatekeeper here in this instance. For me, they're the influencer, and that's another reason why you're not brusque to them, because when you do finally if you do push past them and get through to the person, they may ask them, oh, okay, you let them through. Why did you let them through? Oh, actually, they were really horrible to me, or they were really nasty, and I just wanted to get rid of them. Oh, yeah, okay, so now they're going to use you, aren't they? Yeah. So therefore, remember, they are the influencer to whoever the decision maker is, but sometimes they're also the decision maker. Yeah, I learned from my director, because a key thing was always ring early. You're not going to get the 20, already done the 20 calls, or ring late because they might not be there. It might be a 9 to 5 job, or they might sign off at a certain time, and you get through to your person at maybe 6 o'clock. Well, my director, we used to have our meeting at the end of the day, and we'd be the only ones there. Someone would ring up and want to speak to her, and she would pretend to be the cleaner. Oh no, love, they went ages ago. I'm the only one here. I'm the cleaner. And she'd put on this really weird voice. Carol Mullins, if anyone knows her out there. And she would talk to them and see how they actually interacted with her. And she would make a note. And if they called the next time, if they were lovely to the cleaner, she'd take their call. If they weren't and they dismissed the straight, oh, well, don't worry then. Yeah. Or, oh, okay, I'll call again tomorrow. And not even engage in a conversation with her in any way, shape or form. She wouldn't deal with them. So you just don't know who's on the other end of the phone there, do you?
I'm glad you mentioned that, because, you know, we have this perception built up in our heads, and it's our fault. We call them gatekeepers. So straight away, that's quite a negative sort of job title for them, if you like, job function. And you're right, actually, they are the first decision makers that we need to convince, because it's going to be their decision whether or not they're going to put you through. So, and in terms of what Simon has just mentioned, should we send them a bottle of something in the post? Oh, I don't know what you're talking about, whether that's Cavonia, champagne. On that Monaco program last night, there was quite a large bottle of champagne, but it was 28,000 euros. So Simon, if you're doing all right, maybe. No, I don't know. Some people might class that as bribery. Some organizer, I know that I used to work for a bank, and if you ever got given something like a bottle or something from a customer, it had to go into a central pool. You couldn't actually accept that, because someone might say, yeah, but I did send you that champagne. So personally, I don't think it needs to be done with gatekeepers. If you listen at 1 o'clock today, I'll give you quite a few answers and tips and techniques on how to actually deal with the gatekeepers without putting your hand in your pocket, Simon. So that'll be all right.
Well, the issue we've got at the moment is people are working from home, aren't they? So actually sending something to someone's home address, if you don't really know them, is a little bit stalker.
Yeah.
But the one occasion it did work for me, I'd been trying with the gatekeeper and not getting through to the decision maker. But then I saw that they had moved office. So maybe if people are going back to different offices or going back into the office, and they've put it on their social media. And all I did was send a £15 bouquet of flowers to put on their desk and said, welcome to your office. And I got a call straight away saying, why did you do that? And I can't understand, we never give you any business and we're not interested in working with you. And I said, yeah, but I've tried calling, I've tried this, I've tried that, all the rest of it. I thought, I'll send you some flowers, you've got a new office, why not? And they were like, that was really lovely, can we talk a bit more?
Yeah.
You just don't know what's going to work. It's about perseverance with recruitment, isn't it? You've got to keep trying and keep trying different things, because you keep trying the same thing, that's sort of the definition of insanity, isn't it?
Yeah, perseverance, kindness, you know, understand their point of view, but definitely sort of keep chipping away. Because when my boss would say to me, oh, you got to keep calling, you got to keep calling, you never know, gatekeepers might change. They might have a day off, you know, which is why I was always told, you know, try in the morning, try at night, try at lunchtime, try at different times. You never quite know who's going to be there. And, you know, some people will disagree with this next statement, but honesty is the best policy. And I think, and I've learnt this from my name gathering days, that yes, you could use this ruse to get through and string them a yarn, but at some point, if you do win business with that client, you've got to speak to that gatekeeper. Now, they might laugh it off, or they might think, you know, you tricked me, you know, and it didn't make me look too good to my boss, because they might get a reprimand for allowing too many calls through. And that personal one, I mean, anybody that ever uses that right now should be strung up, because that's no good at all.
Well, glad we got that there. Daryl, actually, on LinkedIn, because we're live streaming on LinkedIn as well, he's put that he always tries to ask for their help and advice and guidance and values their advice. You already know what's coming up in the webinar this afternoon, don't you? So 1 o'clock this afternoon, Alan's going to be doing his Dealing with Gatekeepers webinar. So the link was on the email that we sent out to you. It's in the gym. It's on Crowdcast, so you can find it that way. So to sum up then, for this morning, our quick motivational thing, what can people go and do now that they can put into practice this morning, and then they can come and find more this afternoon?
I think persevere, understand from their point of view what they might be feeling, and that could help you in your approach. But approach it, I think, with a positive mindset. I think if you approach it that they're the enemy and that this is going to be a battle to get through, you're going to lose, because they have been in so many battles. They might have already been in 30, 40 battles that day. And for the webinar this afternoon, if you've got any particular difficulties that you have with Gatekeepers, any sort of one-liners or questions they might ask you, then stick them in the chat bar or email them to me, and I'll make sure that I cover those off in the webinar, because I'm pretty good at knowing what most of the Gatekeeper responses are. But let's hear some more up-to-date ones. Oh, she's gone. Hello, Tiger Lady's gone.
Well, I thought we'd finish off. He's just turned up, so I thought it's not quite a tiger, but you can roar every now and again. Have a great day, everyone. Yeah, and we'll see you again next Tuesday with some more BD. Let us know if there's anything specific you want us to tackle. All right, have a wonderful day.
Take care all. Bye.